Hello and welcome to the RV Living Show. I'm Luann Street, and today we're going to be talking about 6 steps to planning your next RV trip. So stay tuned and we're going to dive deep into planning. Welcome back, friends, to the RV Living Show. I'm Luann Street of Design Your RV Life, and we're going to dive into 6 steps to help you plan your RV travel even better for your next trip. Okay, so let's get started thinking about your next RV trip. Right? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Let's dive into all the things. Let's let our imaginations just kind of go crazy. Where do you want to go next? Pull that out of your head right now as you're thinking about it. Where is your bucket list destination? So let's plan that trip, right? Maybe it's not possible to take it right this minute, but maybe someday you're going to take it. And guess what? You could have it all planned, even if it's just in your head right now. But stay tuned to the end because I have something that is going to help you with planning this RV trip. So let's go first into the first step, right? First, you're going to determine your budget, right? If you're not a full timer, because you already know what your budget is if you're full timing, right? You kind of got that thing figured out. So let's talk about just planning that next trip. So you're going to determine your budget for this trip. How much are you going to want to spend? Um, and that is a key component to making sure that you have an awesome time because you don't want to overspend but you don't want to underspend either. And so determining your budget for the trip will help you narrow down how far you're going to travel. It's going to help you narrow down how many nights you're going to stay in a campground and or have travel days. And you're also going to be able to determine what you're going to spend while you're there, what you're going to spend on destination activities, because you are traveling for a reason and you're going to this place for a reason. So that's the next step, right? Is figure out what this trip is for. So now you know what your budget is, right? And then now you want to figure out what this trip is for. Are you going to relax? If you're just going to travel and go to the campground and stay in that campground and enjoy all the amenities, then that is what your trip is for. If it's going to be a multi-day travel and then you're going to go and stay, I call that, then you're going to want to think about that too, because you're going to want to get there and you're going to want to go and stay. Or are you traveling from destination to destination while seeing things along the way? And are you going to do this night after night after night, or day after day after day? Or are you going to um, do 3 days and then do 4 days and see all the things at the destination that you're going to? So you want to figure out what this trip is for so that when you go into thinking about what you're doing, you have an idea. If you're going into it for rest and relaxation, you're not going to want to plan a lot of things for your destination. But if you are going to see the things because you're going to this destination for a bucket list thing. So let's take, for example, right? I am actually traveling in November to a business meeting, and I decided to take my RV. Since I'm currently not at this moment full time, I'm planning on getting out there again next year. Um, I am taking this RV trip. So I'm planning this RV trip. But this trip, the ultimate thing is that business event that I'm going to. But I want to see things as I'm going. So the one thing on my bucket list actually there's 2 things on this bucket list. There's 4 things. So I really used some bucket list items for this trip. The first one is I want to go to Mammoth Cave. I want to check a national park off my list. So that this trip is to help me do that. The second thing is to go to another national, I think it's a park. I think the St. Louis Arch is a park now. But I want to see that. I want to go up in the arch. I'm going to be going through there. I want to experience that. So that's the second thing that this trip is for, right? The third thing is I want to go to Missouri Star Quilt Company. I have always wanted to go to Missouri Star. They have an amazing selection of quilting items, as well as just being such a neat family story of uh, recovery and inspiration. So you really should check them out. Hamilton, Missouri, where they're located, is this little town that they have literally revived with their business of the Missouri Star Quilt Company. And I find that super inspirational and I want to go there. The third thing that I want to do is I love rails to trails, and I'm going to ride the Katy Trail as I'm going out of St. Louis through St. Charles. I'm going to stop and I'm going to ride the Katy Trail because that's another thing on my bucket list. So as you can see, figuring out what this trip is for is also going to help you plan it, right? So the next thing that you're going to think about as you're doing this is you want to reserve your campgrounds early. I don't know if in the past you have experienced being disappointed that when you finally decide you want to go and do something, that there is no room at the inn, so to speak, because there are people who are, we're RVing more than ever before. It's just a fact of life. And if you have certain destinations that you want to go to and you want to make sure that you can camp there, you need to make a reservation. So this one campground that's right on the Katy Trail is super important to me, so I can ride my bike from the campground on the Katy Trail and come back. I don't want to have to take my bike somewhere to get on the Katy Trail. So I want this particular campground. So I want to reserve this to make sure that I can do that. I don't want to be disappointed. So you really want to reserve your campgrounds early so that this trip is everything that you're imagining it's going to be. Now, the next thing you want to do is plan when you get to that campground. What are you going to do there? For me, the first time that I stop, I'll be at Mammoth Cave. That's what I want to do. I want to experience Mammoth Cave National Park. I want to get my national park book stamped. I want to do a hike. I want to tour the caves. I want to do all the things. That's why I'm there. So I want to make sure that I have enough time, right? So planning in how much time you're going to need to take, you have to factor in your travel days, the amount of time it's going to take you to do what you want to do at your destination. So planning something of coming in on Monday afternoon, let's say you had to drive 6 hours that day. And now you're coming in and you're not going to be able to see the national park for the rest of that day. So you're going to want the next day to be where you can go see it and then possibly leave again the following morning. Sometimes putting especially bigger destination activities on your plan, and having them not be on your travel day is probably optimal so that you can have the most fun and feel your best when you're doing them, right? Because maybe this is the only time you're going to get to do this. So you want to think about that. You want to give yourself enough time. You want to feel good about it. You don't want to feel rushed. So you want to plan what you're going to do there and plan enough time to do it. Now, the other thing that's going to help you in this RV trip is to plan your travel days. You know where you're going to stop, which is back to reserving your campground. Know what you're going to eat on that day when you're traveling. Because if you're towing a car and you're in a 40-foot motorhome, you can't just pull into Wendy's. Sometimes it's best to stop at a rest stop and have lunch, and just knowing that you're going to be able to have access to your refrigerator or a prepared lunch so that things are not hard to get to is important. If you're towing and you're in the truck and you're not going to be able to get inside your fifth wheel for your stuff, you're going to want to have your lunch packed. So planning your travel day, planning your rest stops, planning your fuel stops just make everything so much better. Now, the other step to your next RV trip is to pack your RV, right? You want to pack it with the things that you are going to need to do all the fun things that you've planned. So let's go back to my trip, the trip that I want to go on. I'm going to make sure I've got my bike and my helmet and my bike bag because I want to ride the Katy Trail. I want to make sure that I have my national park book because I want that stamped. I'm going to 2 places that I want to do that. I might even want my sewing machine because I'm not sure if Missouri Star is going to let me sew or not. I mean, that would be amazing, right? So maybe I want to have that with me. So apart from having your toothbrush, your pajamas, and the food that you're going to take on your trip, you want to think about those things that you're planning to do at your destination. The comfortable shoes that you're going to want to have. Maybe your hiking boots, because you might have an option. I'm at Mammoth Cave. I'm going to want to hike. Maybe I need to make sure I've got my hiking boots and my socks, and maybe the shirt that I like to hike in that's nice and breathable, and so that it protects me. So thinking about your destination activities as well as your fundamentals is important in packing your RV. So in order to help you with this, I designed your next RV adventure bundle, and I have this for sale at the link below. This is it's minimally priced. You should check it out, and it's fillable, so you're able to download the PDFs and use each one of those PDFs to plan your next RV trip. You're going to be able to determine your budget, figure out what your trip is for. You're going to have a place to reserve your campground. You're going to have a place to plan what you're going to do there. You're going to plan your travel day, and you're going to be able to pack your RV. So check out this new bundle that I've created, and it's deeply discounted for this episode. So I want you to take a look at it and get it so that your next RV trip is easier than ever. And I thank you for joining me today on the RV Living Show. But be sure to check your next RV adventure bundle and let me know how you like it. And many happy travel blessings as you plan your next RV trip. And I'll see you in the next episode of the RV Living Show. Thank you for joining me for the RV Living Show. I hope this episode helps you in creating an RV life that you love. Until next time, I encourage you to stop wondering and start wandering.